Today on the Topping Show, NFL team Panthers has a trans cheerleader stirring controversy on social media and getting roasted. A woman's quote-unquote service dog hops into the produce and causes chaos. Valentina Gomez says she will end Islam if she is elected in Texas. Texas Senate pats the redistricting to gain 5 GOP seats and eliminating 5 Democrat seats. Iron Man's Acura NSX concept was actually a Gen 1 of the stick shift, and Werner Ladders are getting recalled. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Guy says quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase with Picatinny rail adapters so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more and see me shooting a flamethrower. And lastly, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button and tell your friends and your enemies, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part podcast, you have some fun gearhead news. Iron Man's NSX was, well, actually a Gen 1. Now this is brought to us thanks to Andrew Collins at thedrive.com. And they say, quote, Iron Man's Acura NSX Roadster was actually a 1991 NSX with 252,000 miles. The second generation NSX concept came out in 2012 and made an appearance in the Avengers that same year, 3 years before you could buy one at a dealership, which, great marketing, although it was kind of boring how they took the heart and soul out of the vehicle to make it automatic. Every sports car should have a stick shift, also known as 3 pedals, manual transmission, but that's just me. Here you can see it with Robert Downey Jr. and the Avengers guy. What's his name? Chris Pratt? Maybe? No, it's the other one. Guy plays Captain America. That guy. I know comic. No, I don't know comics. I'm not gonna lie. I can't believe he got 252,000 miles. That's incredible. Now, let's pull that beauty on screen here. And again, the interior looks pretty timeless. It looks amazing. What could have been a great vehicle instead of an utter disappointment that is forgotten? But nevertheless, they say, quote, the one-of-one open-roof Acura NSX Roadster that Robert Downey Jr. drives as Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, for about 2 seconds of screen time in the 2012 movie The Avengers, is resurfacing at Monterey's Car Week. As you recall, the second-generation NSX didn't really exist until 2016, so picture car producers had to get creative mocking up a drivable prop based on the 2012 NSX concept. Acura shared some details about it and a nice batch of studio photos to hype up a charity auction that's planning next year, which... yeah, proper drivetrain with that body kit. Oh, looks so good. Now, Acura says, quote, as a project vehicle, the Acura NSX Roadster was built by Trans FX in Onerd, California. The handcrafted resin and fiberglass body was fitted to a first-generation NSX along with 2-inch suspension drop, 18-inch wheels, and aftermarket seats. A well-used 1991 model with 252,000 miles on the odometer served as the foundation for the transformation. It was designed by a team at the Acura Design Studio in Los Angeles by David Merrick, Acura's creative director at the time. The car remains exactly as it was appeared on screen 13 years ago, featuring the Stark 33 license plate, which, oh, that's so cool. Again, if they had this for the actual Gen 2 NSX, it would have been so much better. That, seeing a stick shift in a proper sports car, that's, again, this was such a great concept. Then the new one came out in a boring, hybrid powertrain. It also shows to you the reliability of the Acura original NSX, which I would argue is more iconic. 252,000 miles. It's still running like a champ. The only, that's the biggest reason people buy Hondas. That's why I chose my Honda Civic Si. I know they're darn near bulletproof. Now they say, quote, it's pretty funny to see the second gen body kind of on the first gen interior. And I'm also surprised to notice the car appears to be a manual, which, yeah, look at that stick shift right there. They say the Open Tops NSX made a brief appearance at the end of the movie when all the heroes peeled out of their respective vehicles after defeating Loki, who was the bad guy in that one. Robert Downey Jr. also drove it in real life at the movie's premiere in Los Angeles. Finding a clip of that red carpet party reminded me of the Acura placements all over the movie. The good guys have a whole motor pool of matte black MDX SUVs and TL sedans, which with orange lights. I think quite a few can get blown up in the beginning of the explosion base sequence, which... yeah, let me pull up some close up of these pictures. Again, what could have been? Yeah, it's one of those things where, I dream about going to auto auctions. Obviously, it's, again, not financial advice, the dumbest thing you could spend money on. But it just looks amazing. What? Just, it's such a lost opportunity, what could have been with the Gen 2 NSX. Looks so cool. I think they have a clip from the premiere as well. There we go.
Hi, Robert!
Skip forward. No one cares about celebrities. Come on. Go back to the car. There we go. That looks awesome.
Yeah, some snap zooms. There we go. Let's get.
And they go to all other boring vehicles, which I suppose some people need SUVs, but no one cares about seeing an SUV on screen like that. So yeah, one of the coolest things, because again, Hollywood is usually so boring when it comes to even the hero cars, like in the Fast and Furious. The actual one that Paul Walker drove the most for the iconic Mark IV Supra, the orange one, it had an automatic transmission and a base motor. It wasn't even turboed. Like the main hero car. The outside looked immaculate, of course. They pimp it out, make it look all fancy. But yeah, the main car was an automatic with no upgrades. And yeah, usually the car that actually gets driven, ironically, in some cases, usually the most boring vehicle. In this case, I would argue this is, if I had enough money for a sports car to the price of an NSX Gen 2, and yeah, I think this is going, and again, not financial advice, I think this is going to sell it for a premium over any value of the current NSX. I don't even care this is in the movie. It's kind of cool, but to me, it just looks awesome. Got a proper drivetrain. I love how, again, the original 252,000 miles, this thing is still running strong. That's one of the coolest things to happen in Hollywood, though. Granted, it's a pretty low bar. Can't but wonder how much it's going to fetch for at the auction. I think they said it was a charity auction, so price is probably going to be even more, outlandish, which again makes sense. It's for a good cause. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Cultural Part podcast, you have the NFL with their first trans cheerleader going to the Panthers, which is somehow a sports ball team. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Tara Bull over on X. Definitely cover your eyes if you have trouble listening or watching more accurately, not just because of my ugly mug. Now, this is credited to Tara Bull, and she says, quote, the NFL's first transgender cheerleader, Justin Simone, of the Carolina Panthers Top Cats, has returned for their third season. Which, I can't be too, at least the name is cool, the Top Cats. Though I'm obviously biased. My name's Topping. But, yeah, there's a guy, well, let me accurately represent him. A bald man with, a woman cheerleading outfit on, where you can predominantly see his large junk. Reason number 9,758,325,006 to not allow your children to watch modern sports games because you see this crap. Yeah, imagine having to explain, Johnny, why is there a man dressed up like that? Well, you see, Johnny, this man believes he's a woman, and we must respect that. Yeah. That's why I'm a big fan of physical media that cannot be altered as well and can't be updated with a software update, like a streaming service. Can't help but think if I've ever been privileged to the point where I have children in my life and a wife and kids, yeah, preview everything before they see it. And ideally is offline in terms of, this is going to definitely date me, a VHS tape, perhaps a DVD, where, again, you know exactly what's on the content. You can preview it before the children sees it, and you know it's actually child appropriate. This obviously is not. Now, granted, it's the Carolina Panthers. Only about 18 people are going to see this, so maybe we shouldn't be freaking out. I don't think most people even know Carolina had a football team. But apparently they do, called the Panthers. I'm sure they'll be just as successful as the Chicago Bears in terms of winning Super Bowls. Now, this went very viral. Got 7.2 million views and 745 likes, which, talk about a disproportionate like ratio. Now, one of the first comments comes to someone where, well, not the first comment in terms of number of likes, but I'm a little biased. He's especially handsome and brilliant. Me, the Topping Show. I say, quote, reason number 1,234,908 to continue to not watch the NFL or allow your kids to watch it, getting 6 likes. Gina Benina Fornina says, quote, when people stop watching the NFL, this shit will stop. People are going to have to be serious and stand up for what they believe in, getting 355 likes. Yeah, well, I agree with that, but I'm pretty skeptical. There's so many people addicted to the just watching a sports balls, which, I mean, unless you own the team, I do wonder. I mean, so many people emotionally invested in sports balls. It always perplexed me, but I'm a little bit of a business nerd. I always tell people maybe if I own a sports ball team someday, I'll be more involved or interested or invested. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where people very much love their sports balls. I'm really skeptical of them actually protesting those things. We saw this with the BLM during that trend where every team would plaster that graffiti onto their fields and their helmets and their jerseys. Conservatives all said, we're going to boycott this. But none of them really did. I mean, people are just so addicted. And with the NFL, there's really no competition. I think they tried the competitor that Dwayne The Rock Johnson bought a team of. What was it? Extreme Football. Something so bad at marketing, you can't even remember their name. Well, at least I can't. So it's kind of monopoly when it comes to organized sports ball that isn't college. So it's one of those things where it's not like a Bud Light where the competition was like not even 18 inches away from each other in the the refrigerated part of the grocery store. Shows how much I buy beer. But that was very easy to switch over. I would argue a lot of it tastes the same as well. But when it comes to boycotting the NFL, again, I think you should if you're conservative and you don't want to see this stuff anymore. But if you're addicted to watching sports balls, I guess you watch college ball, which I would argue is more interesting because there's more upsets in college ball than the NFL. But yeah, I'm pretty skeptical in terms of, there's going to be a massive boycott for the NFL. We'll see. I think there should, but I don't think there will be. You have Ajika saying, quote, I find her dick offensive, getting 398 likes. Yeah, it's poking out there. I was about to say Dave. Dean says, quote, someone should let the Carolina Panthers know that the woke went out the window when President Trump beat Kamala Harris for president. No one wants to see this, getting 701 likes, which, well, no, there are a lot of people who want to see it, but I'm pretty sure they're based in San Francisco, not the Carolinas. So, again, I've never been to the Carolinas. Maybe I'll have that privilege someday. Although if I do, I'm not going to watch that. You also have, let's see, the Jellyfish Man saying, quote, looks like it was a package deal, getting 126 likes, which, that's a pretty good pun. The package is quite present. You also have Richard Angwin saying, quote, your relentless a contrarian statement finally brewing to the surface. Again, this is credited to Richard Angwin, and he says, quote, your relentless obsession with the transgender people in sports reeks of bigotry and desperation for attention, proving you're more interested in hate mongering than real news. I think it's speculatively vacuous, that statement, but did get 62 likes, and, geez Louise, talk about exceptionally, efficient engagement farming. They got more responses than any other comment. That got 135 responses. Was he ratioed? Let's see. Oh, jeez. Cover your ears if you have children listening, because Arminius says, quote, may a dildo hit you in the head, getting 50 likes. 51? Nah, not ratioed quite. Rothbird's Ghost says, no, it proves that we haven't healed yet. We shouldn't bend the will of society for 0.4% of the population. You people make insane asylums great again. Or sorry, he says, we should make great insane asylums great again. Getting 21 likes. Spangled says, quote, you like seeing that big dick hanging, don't you? Getting 37 likes. Monica says, quote, more like you're a misogynist who doesn't realize that women are getting more and more angry at men taking their places and everything. There's a reason women are speaking up. We're fed up with this being pushed at us. Getting 47 likes. Although women predominantly overwhelmingly vote for pro-trans initiatives, when you look at who votes leftist the most, liberal white women are the biggest category of voters in that area. She says women are fed up with it. Some of them are, of course, but overall, I think the average woman, they support all of this because they love that feeling of acceptance and all that emotional stuff. But yeah, going back to the main comment section, Jim Bob says, quote, their third season, that gets a guy with a dick disappointed in you, Tara. Getting 48 likes. I don't know why he's disappointed in Tara. It doesn't sound like Tara's speaking up for it. I thought she's more right-leaning. I'm following her. She's got 1.3 million views. Jeez Louise. Yeah, it doesn't sound like she's approving of this. And Derek Kelly says, doesn't look like he's fully transitioned yet, getting 152 likes. Robert Davis has a pride-colored Carolina Panthers. No, it's been changed to Carolina Prancers, getting 15 likes. Yeah. Yeah, by her, her vernacular doesn't look like she's approving it one way or the other. I would guess based on her past post, she wouldn't approve of it. But yeah. Definitely, I'm definitely not a fan of this, but let me know your thoughts and comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have a woman with a quote-unquote service dog jumping into the produce, which, yeah, I think people are getting fed up with this. This is brought to us thanks to Massimo. He says, quote, a woman in Durango, Colorado was filmed after her quote-unquote service dog jumped into the produce section at Walmart and refused to get out, which, yeah, it's only about 25 seconds, but it's hilarious and pathetic. That's actually the cold part of it's like the semi-refrigerated section of the produce section. He's burrowed his way into the produce on top of a bunch of lettuce and cabbage. And of course, it has no official service dog tag on him, or like I know some of them have like a little, almost like a little suit for them. And that dog looks so. So she dragged the dog out. Now, some people are saying, well, maybe the dog was just trying to give her a hint that she needs to eat more greens because she is, well, morbidly obese. And I don't feel too bad making fun of her because, again, this clearly is a service dog. She's just using it as a workaround to have her pet in the store with her. And again, there are some people in the United States who do have health conditions. I always have to, put that caveat out there because, again, I know some people in my life where they have some health conditions where it makes it very difficult to lose weight. Some of them have, because of disabilities, they have more sedentary life. There are some people who are overweight because of things that they cannot directly control. However, overwhelmingly, especially in the United States, people are morbidly obese because of health choices and food choices. And I would guess, given her multiple chins, her food choices are, well, not very good. And again, she is reaching for her dog in the produce, which she does not look happy about that. Maybe the dog's trying to give her a hint, like, you need to eat more produce. Come on now. And this went to pre-vol, got 5.6 million views and 33,000 likes. And again, there's no official, service dog tag on them like you see with actual service dogs, which do exist. But I can't but think she's just using an excuse to bring her pet with her. Yeah. That's ridiculous. At least have, again, at least have her, it doesn't even, yeah, she doesn't even pretend it to be a service dog. There's no coat on the dog. Well, he has his fur coat, but there's no like official sign on him. I know for some people who are visually impaired, some of them will have I forget there's probably specific vernacular, but they actually have like a little handle attached to the dog so you can guide him around the store. Nothing like that. It literally just looks like a cute sheepdog. And going to the comments, one of the first ones comes to us thanks to, well, I'm a little biased. I think he's handsome and brilliant. Me, the topping show. I say, quote, the dog is giving her a hint she needs to eat more greens, lol. Anyone else tired of these fake service dogs? The dog clearly is not trained at getting 4 likes. Tim the Toolman says, quote, bitch better buy all that lettuce, getting 57 likes, which, yeah, if the dog is on top of all that food, yeah, she should have to. Equidistant says, quote, service dog my ass. No service dog would do that. That's a pet, and this woman is an idiot, getting 17,000 likes. Jay says, quote, dog people insisting on bringing their effing dogs everywhere are a cancer to society, getting 3.5 thousand likes, which they're starting to get pretty insufferable. The airlines are starting to crack down on it where they actually ask you, like, hey, did you just buy this $50 certificate for your dog to be a service dog, or is it actually a service dog? Theodore says, quote, for hygienic reasons, the pet should not be allowed in grocery stores, getting 11 likes. Yeah. I mean, again, not all dogs, but some dogs do have fleas. There are some things that dogs have you wouldn't want. TYR says, just because you're, what he says literally, quote, just because you're a retard doesn't mean your dog is a service dog, getting 8.8 thousand likes. Iggy B says, so what? This happens is not a big deal. And the constant subtle dog and service hate are really tedious. Getting 395 likes, but 546 responses. Was she ratioed? Vaughn Swedenson says, quote, she doesn't look blind. What kind of service is the dog providing? Getting 317 likes. KGB says, often for anxiety, getting 16 likes, which, unless you have severe PTSD, which, again, that is a real issue for some of our vets. Yeah. Anxiety? No. I can't help but think an overwhelming majority of the time when ladies say, oh, I have anxiety, they just want attention, or they're so mentally weak because they've never had any obstacles in life to oppose them. And they say, oh yeah, I need a dog for anxiety. I need my Starbucks latte for my anxiety. I can't go to work today. I can't work. I can only work 2 hours a day because of my anxiety. Yeah, a very unique thing that only happens in the United States. You don't see that people stopping working or stopping life because of anxiety in pretty much any country except the United States. Dapper Dan says, quote, because many people make up things about their dog to accompany them. It's called gaming the system, and nobody needs their dog at a grocery store. It's not hygienic at all. Game 489. They get 490 likes. So she was, as youth might say, ratioed. Let's see. Some person says it's obviously not a service dog. That lady shouldn't have it in a grocery store. Things happen doesn't include your effing gross dog's nipples rubbing around my cabbage. And you're a trash human if something like this happened and you didn't reevaluate your life decisions. Getting 173 likes. Mike says, yeah, things happen, and now she should be required to pay for all that. Getting 54 likes. Well, 3. I gave her 1 more. Bowtied Reactionary says, quote, it's not subtle. F her and F her dog. Nobody wants that nasty shit all over their produce. Why do you want me? Why do you want me rubbing my dog balls on your lettuce? If your dog isn't trained not to effing jump on the produce, then it's not a service dog. 140 likes, which, yeah, I think so too. Going back to the main comment section, RJ, Arley, with a space. Now let's just go. The dog wants nothing more to do with this woman. His face screams, help me. Getting 1.9 thousand likes, and yeah, he kind of looks, he's got that look in his eyes, was like, please don't make me go back to her. She's going to give me McDonald's or something. I got 1.9 thousand likes. Henry Fork says, quote, there's something very wrong here. It's not that a trained service dog, this is not a trained service animal, and the dog is visibly turned off or terrified of this woman. The dog got in there to hide. Animal controls needs to help this dog, getting 688 likes. Dervav Saki says, quote, what does that Karen do to that poor dog that's so terrified of her, getting 1.5 thousand likes? The Beer Brewer says, quote, ain't no way that's a service dog. They typically have a red chest leash. This dog doesn't even assist to be on the leash at all. There are a growing number of people who think they can bring their dogs everywhere. It's so annoying. Getting 4.8 thousand likes. Yeah. I think they're getting braver. There are a lot of people, how dare you say you don't like dogs? Which, dogs are awesome. They're man's best friend. I mean, they are man's best friend. However, when it comes to using dogs like this and just taking them everywhere with you, kind of like you don't take your kids everywhere. There's such thing as, child appropriateness. There's such things as dog appropriateness. A Walmart grocery produce section obviously is an appropriate place for a dog. Bobby simply says that dog hates her, getting 88 likes. Let's see. The Commander USA says, first of all, I train and work with service animals. For this to happen, it means possibly several things. 1, the animal is very sick or overheated. 2, the animal is not a valid service dog. 3, the dog broke training and needs retraining. 4, the dog is being abused. I don't know what is the issue, but it's not an argument about restricting service animals. It's the argument about making sure the valid service animals are easily identifiable, like a police badge, getting 2.7 thousand likes. Yeah. I mean, there was the Walmart shopping experience is already pretty hilarious, and I would argue inept. It is all. I mean, when I was in college, there was a whole website called thefacesofwalmart.com that just visually documented all the ineptitudes of people shopping at Walmart. So many people in sweatpants are just like dead inside. Which, I mean, I obviously look out of place because I suit up when I go and shop at the Walmart because I'm a workaholic and I just time optimization. I always do it on the way back from a customer meeting. But I mean, I know I stand out at Walmart, probably not in a good way, looking, grocery shopping in a suit. But yeah, one of those things where I think people are fed up with these fake service dogs. But let me know your thoughts and comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, Valentina Gomez says that she will end Islam in Texas if she is elected. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Valentina Gomez on X. And she says, quote, I will end Islam in Texas once and for all. America is a Christian nation. Help get me into Congress to destroy the Muslim Brotherhood and all of the other terrorists. So help me God. And spoiler, if you have children listening, she has saying some very bombastic things. Goes into abuse as well, or abusive topics and swears, I believe. So definitely cover your kids' ears if they are listening, but without too much further ado.
Muslims have raped over 1 million girls in the UK and have cut off the heads of innocent Christians in Syria because they refuse to bow down to their stupid rock. And the very same fate awaits your sons and daughters unless you send me to Congress, because I'm the only one who's not afraid of them. I'm going to be very honest with you. I didn't have the blessing of being born in America or even call myself a Texan, but you can't tell me that I don't care about Texas. The clowns in the Texas house allowed for a bunch of radical Muslims to take over entire cities. Now, they're trying to turn Texas from a Christian state into the Muslim capital of America. So let me be very clear. America is a Christian nation. So these Muslims can fuck off to any of the 57 Muslim nations. Islam has no place here.
I try not to laugh because the music, and again, YouTube probably strips it out, but if you're watching on Rumble, which you should be, well, it's not financially viable yet, but Rumble's good. But if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or as I call it, Spotify, because it sounds funnier, you'll hear the music, and the music is very good music. It's just very much out of character because that music is pretty much overwhelmingly used for like lifting music and motivational videos. And like, it's I mean, that music has been around for 15 years. I think I first heard it when I was in high school. Who was it? There's a couple of good YouTube motivational videos with speakers. And yeah, I mean, a very interesting choice of music. And again, I think she has some valid concerns, especially in the UK. They are a weak, conquered country, which again, if you look at the statistics on who's abusing women the most, yeah, they're Muslim. And if you look at how weak and conquered the UK is, you actually get more trouble if you post a meme, or as I call them, memes, about the abuse than the bad guy actually causing the abuse. That's how pathetically conquered the UK is. Now, in the US, we're having a rapid increase of, well, I would argue, illegal immigration under the Biden-Harris administration, like 20 plus million illegals. Now, the issue is, in terms of how will she get that done? Again, she's very much appealing to emotional rhetoric. She's, bringing up a concern that a lot of Americans do have in terms of our country shifting. I do believe our country is the best country on the planet in history because of our Judeo-Christian values and our founding fathers that laid out the best blueprint in history for a government by the people. Now, the issue is, I mean, how would she actually accomplish this? Now, in terms of decreasing that rate, you could augment the immigration of people to the United States. You could augment or decrease the number of Muslims that come here. That actually that issue came a couple decades ago when, I mean, there used to be actually quotas based on a myriad of things, but certain politician got rid of it, and you're not supposed to do that anymore. Now, she says she wants to get rid of some. If they're illegally here, you could do that, but she doesn't really articulate, and that's actually one of the reasons I like Vivek from a political perspective. He dives very much into the details of how he will fix things. I know I stutter, I know. It's one of those things where I actually speak faster than Ben Shapiro, more awkwardly than Joe Biden trying to come upstairs. But as I slowly but surely gain subscribers, I've become better at speaking. Granted, some people might say barely at all, but I would argue, statistically speaking, better at speaking. So if you click that button, tell your friends, greatly appreciate it. Also, tell your enemies. They might be so enamored and impressed by your choice of entertainment material, they then become your friends. Or they find my material so viscerally disgusting that they actually hate you even more, and then it becomes a physical altercation. So maybe I shouldn't suggest that you do that. Either way, it should make your life moderately more interesting. So why not tell your enemies as well about the topping show? But in all seriousness, how would she legally go about getting this done? I think, again, in terms of illegal immigration, we could deport them. That is a mechanism she could probably do. Well, it'll be interesting to see, how does she do that? And again, I think one of the best reasons our country is great because of our foundation and our religion. We also have freedom of religion. If you want to practice whatever you want, that's part of our country as well. So I'm not sure, again, how is she actually going to execute this idea of hers? And it went pretty far. It got 2.1 million views and 73,000 likes. And again, from a prospective politician, that is exceptionally viral. I mean, most politicians are boring as sin. And I mean, you usually don't even watch those political ads. Now, one of the first ones comes to us thanks to Mitchell Taylor saying, quote, "Amen. Finally, someone saying the quiet part out loud. Islam has no place in America and cannot work in a great country. F off Islam. America belongs to Jesus." Game 485 likes. See? Not enough people clicked the subscribe button and my stuttering got worse. In fact, I probably lost subscribers and that's why it got worse. But in all seriousness, Valentina Gomez responded saying, quote, "I only fear God. Everyone fears getting canceled, debunked, disliked. They already tried and failed. I fight in the name of Jesus Christ." Getting 317 likes. Scrolling down more and more. Gene Dover has a meme and it says, "I refuse to coexist with people who want to behead me." And that got 890 likes. Now she responded saying, quote, "Absolutely. I feel this even more because my brother is in the military and knows what these terrorists have done to our service members." Getting 333 likes. "You won't believe me." Interesting profile name says, "Such a savage" at the end, getting 130 likes. She says, quote, "You're one of the only few that has the guts to talk about the truth. God bless you, Mark." Getting 132 likes. Texas Patriot says, quote, "Don't disagree. They are a shit stain on the planet. If the so-called moderate Muslims would actually call out the lunacy of their religion, I might be more sympathetic, but they never do. They have plenty of places to call home. America does not need to be one of them." Getting 367 likes, which, I mean, they're calling a lot of countries their homes these days. Getting 367 likes. Again, now Valentina Gomez says, quote, if they love Sharia law so much, why don't they go back? Getting 284 likes, which, yeah, I would argue that Sharia law is the antithesis of pretty much everything our country stands for. Let's see. Amelia Henderson says, quote, you have to eliminate this disease. It says, no, say no to Islamic immigration. Muslims don't assimilate and don't believe in freedom. The goal of Islam is to force conversion or death. They are seeking a totalitarian society. So unless you want to obey Sharia law, wear a burqa and pray to Mecca with a gun to your head, and tell Trump no to 1 million Gazan immigrants. Total totalitarian society. No wonder Democrats love him. I'm only partially kidding. Gave 367 likes. We do have finally scrolling for a little while to try to find a contrarian statement. You have 21B says, I don't buy that being angry act. You are just another dumb politician. Getting 222 likes, which not yet. She's running for Congress. Osmaya, again, I don't purposely try to mispronounce the names usually. Unless it's like Gavin Newscomb, but it's like, I'm not trying to mispronounce all names, I swear. Someone by the name of Osmaya Janodi says, quote, the amount of lies in this short video is unbelievable. Like most everything she says is a lie. Is he ratioed? Let's see. No. Dogar Gam says she has a boomer bigot base to believe her, getting 1 like. Man from Mars says, America is about as Christian as my cat, getting 306 likes, which, yeah, I was going to say a lot of, you look at the culture shift in the United States, we're becoming less and less religious. I don't think it's a good thing, but if you look at the church attendance rates, what people believe in, those are going down every single year. You also have Angel. I was going to say, imagine being an angel. You got so much time on your hands. You fixed all the problems. You're actually tweeting. I'm kidding. I know it's not a real angel, but Angel says, quote, you're an oh, geez. Again, I try to keep this moderately family friendly. He says, quote, you're an insufferable C word. Getting 367 likes. Chris says, pot calling the kettle black, getting 2 likes. Good Hype says, finally someone said it, getting 4 likes. Let's see here. Rosh Pikaya says, quote, please do it. America needs Jesus. We don't need no, terrible grammar. We don't need no false gods, no false ideologies, and no false religions. No Islam, getting 51 likes. Let's see. And again, in terms of her prospective voter base, I do wonder, is it over 50% of, again, she's running as a Republican, is it over 50% of Republicans who would agree with her ideology to try to dramatically decrease Islamic representation in the United States? And again, what legal mechanism would she use? I think we should have more people that believe in the Founding Fathers than not. But do you think she'll actually get elected running on this alone? But as I say, as always, let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news: the Texas Senate passing the map and gaining 5 seats for the GOP and eliminating 5 for Democrats. Now, Rockers thanks to End Wokeness, who says, quote, Texas Senate passes a map that adds 5 GOP seats and eliminates 5 Democrat seats, which you still have these blue shitties in the state of Texas, or as I pronounce it, Texas. But yeah, overall, it's pretty red. Or Trump would say, my God, look at that redistrict map. It's so big, so beautiful. It's the greatest. It's Texas, almost as good as Oklahoma, which statistically speaking is 100% red. It's all Trump country. That's why they're the greatest, the grandest, the awesomeness. But Texas is pretty good too, except for maybe Austin and Houston and Dallas. But in all seriousness, Texas is the grandest, the best, the biggest of the hats, the awesomest of people, the best of the business. Which, I don't know if Trump said that word for word, but pretty accurate assessment. And again, that got 4.7 million views and 84,000 likes, which, again, is hilarious to see the Democratic meltdown over this. When again, they've been doing the same thing for decades. We talked about this earlier this week, and even last week. There's like, how many states are there in the U.S. where it'll be like 40%, Republican by voter percentage, but they'll have 0 representatives in the House of Representatives because they redistrict things. Again, I don't think gerrymandering is a good thing, but it's been around for over 100. It's been a basis for politics for nearly the inception of the United States, and it appears for once, well, not for once, the Republicans do this historically too, but yeah, they're not going to cave to the peer pressure, and the Republicans are doing something. A rare thing in and of itself. I'll give Republicans some credit. They are usually extremely disappointing to most of the topics I care about, though better than Democrats. So again, that bar is comically low. Now, one of the first comments comes to us thanks to Amelia Henderson. Now she says, quote, that's how you flip the board in one move. 5 new GOP seats means more muscle in Congress and less whining from the Democrat bench for years to come, gained 244 likes. Dr. Shari says, quote, as soon as Democrats are forced back, we need to change the rules and laws. Quorum can be met if lawmakers run for their jobs. Future get 100 likes, which that is a cliche MO for Democrats. We don't like this. We're going to cry and go home, take the ball and go home, which they did when they all, Democrats left Texas, or Democrat leaders left Texas. The Democrat media team says, quote, time to change the handle from Representative Jasmine Crockett to unemployed. In 524 likes. The conservative alternative says, quote, now we need the House to approve it, and Texas is set, getting 107 likes, which, again, we'll see. Paul Zupa says, is one of those eliminated Jasmine Crockett, getting 789 likes, which people say, yeah, we have to pass the House, getting 790 likes. Ray has a picture of Governor Abbott in his wheelchair, well, Photoshop. He's, I was about to say running, scrolling, wheeling down a path with a new map in hand, and he's chasing Jasmine Crockett, getting 2.4 thousand likes. Well, the guy over there got 7,000 likes, saying, quote, Republicans playing dirty because they're not able to win elections by simply having people vote. Again, getting 7,000 likes. What? Has he seen the map of Illinois, which I purposely mispronounced as a slight to that shitty state? Has he seen California, Connecticut, like so many of these Democrat states? You look at the map, it's like a Rickstaw assessment. Yeah. And he did get good engagement bait. He got 316 responses. Was he ratioed? Mike says Biden administration did it multiple times, getting 16 likes. Paul says, explain this, and it's, Illinois, getting 78 likes. He says, Illinois is bad, but now look out the 10 most gerrymandered states, getting 25 likes. See. Baby Blue says, this has been the Democrats' game for years. Only way to abolish districts and elect by only way is to I guess they're meaning to say the only way to get rid of this, override it, is to abolish districts and elect by head count only, getting 350 likes. A lot of people just mocking him for hypocrisy. Oh, here we go. This is perfectly exemplified by Catholic Space Emperor. Interesting profile name. Now, he says, quote, to those seeing Texas Democrats say that they are saving democracy in Texas and the United States here's the map, or the United States relative congressional redistricting. Here are some. Massachusetts, 36% Republican, 0 seats. Connecticut, 42% Republican voters, 0 seats. Maine, 46% Republican, 0 seats. New Mexico, 46% Republican, 0 seats. New Hampshire, 48% Republican, but they have 0 seats, House of Representatives. Rhode Island, which somehow still a state, that got 40% Republican votes, yet 0 seats. Vermont, 32% Republican, 0 seats. Hawaii, somehow still a state. What do we use them for? They have 38% voters are Republican, 0 seats. And Delaware, 42% Republican and 0 seats. And got 19 likes. And a lot of people are just bringing up all these states: Maryland, Illinois, New York, California, Massachusetts, Oregon. Yeah, Oregon redrew 5-1 for Democrat seats, cracking 0 GOP voters. Yeah, going down more and more. I Love American News says excellent. It's the meme of Tobey Maguire, whatever movie it's from. He says that the new Texas House map is great. And Jasmine Crockett says, if they pass it, I'll lose my seat. He goes, I told you it was great. You don't have to sell me on it. I got 1.5 thousand likes. So yeah, and again, we'll see if this passes House of Representatives. We'll see, but it's one of those things where Republicans should do it because again, they actually want to win. They have to actually play by the rules that the Democrats do. Well, I would argue Democrats break rules even more than they follow rules, but nevertheless, I think it's going to be a good thing. But let me know your comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Werner Ladders. Well, they're being recalled because, whoops, a little bit of a hazard. Now, this brought to us thanks to the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, perhaps the only useful government website, though pretty low bar. And they say, quote, Werner recalls 20 and 24 Multimax Pro multi-purpose ladders due to a fall hazard. There you can see the Werner ladder, which used to be, well, I'd say pretty darn industry recommended. Now, they note that, quote, the ladder's locking mechanism can jam and not fully lock into place, posing a hazard. Whoops. Which, that's why I'm always a little bit skeptical when it comes to these adjustable ladders, though, again, they're usually very, very convenient. So in this case, they're not convenient enough. You'll fall. That's not very convenient. Now, they say that, quote, this recall involves those 2 ladders. They're sold in silver with a blue top and blue label on the side rail. The label includes a blue oval containing the word Werner next to the words Multi-Max Pro, along with the size and model number ALMP 201AA or ALMP 241AA. Ladders also a long black rope on the back section. They say that consumers should immediately stop using the recalled ladders and contact Werner to receive a full refund. Let's see if there's a picture of that. You easily find that identification label. I was going to say, I know what the problem is. Made in China, as Trump would say. Both of them. Now, they continue to say, quote, the ladders have, again, long back rope. They should immediately stop using them. Consumers should register at werner.com/recalls to receive details on how to dispose of the recalled ladder. Once disposal is complete, Werner will issue a full refund in the form of a check. They say, and in terms of, did they get ahead of this recall? No, unfortunately not. There have been a couple instances. They note that the firm received 18 reports of falls, including 4 reports of injuries resulting in bruising, lacerations, head injuries, and fractures of a wrist, leg, and ribs. They note that these are sold at Home Depot stores nationwide, as well as HomeDepot.com from November 2021 through February 2024. Now, this is the crazy part to me. For average prices between $200 and $281, they were imported by a Werner company of Ithaca, Texas. Sorry, kidding. It's Ithaca, Illinois. Interesting, the named city there. Again, these are used all over in the construction industry, from the prosumer to the consumer. And this affects, 122,250 of these ladders are being recalled. And I don't know how to mess up a ladder not working, which used to be one of the simplest implements out there. And again, it's going to, I don't know how many guys are actually going to abide by the recall, but again, if you rely on this to make your living, you're a contractor, it's one of your daily tools, it means it's going to be inconvenienced, and depending on your, hopefully you have a bankroll where you actually go out and buy another ladder immediately. But, some people actually might lose work because of this, and it's supposed to be a work tool. So, I say, Werner, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, and comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback. Let me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, so anyone and everyone, just stay safe and fight the good fight.